Well, our political correspondent Charlotte Ivers was with me now. Good afternoon, Charlotte. What can you tell us about these fines? Let's get the bare bone facts of it out first.
Well, as you've just heard, there are 20 fines which have been issued. And we know that these fines are basically the lowest hanging fruit. These are people who have either admitted to breaking the law, or it's just so obvious from what they've said in their questionnaire that they really have no defence. So anyone who's put up a bit of a fight will not be in this list of 20. We don't know what the fines look like in terms of what they could be. They could be up to 10 grand if these are for people who have attended events of over 30 people, if they are egregious offenders, if they organise that event. What's more likely, I would say, is these fines are likely to be £800, which halves to £400 if you pay them within 14 days. And that's if you attend an event of up to 15 people.
Okay, and we know that these are fines that are not going to be contested, such as the nature of them being issued now. So there's no question about whether these people are guilty or not, or slash will accept the fine.
Well, in theory, you are allowed to appeal against the fine, but it does look like these are people who said, you know what, fair cop, you've got me. Yes, it was me. So it'd be pretty weird to appeal now. But that is speculation, to be honest. We simply don't know because we don't know who has got these fines. And we may never know because Downing Street may never know. Boris Johnson's spokesperson today saying at lunchtime that people will not be obliged to tell their bosses if they've got one of these fines.
Do you know if workers within Downing Street are receiving any support from their employer? Because there might be some level of implication there, really, if they attended a gathering in their workplace thinking that that was fine because the workplace had sanctioned it.
Oh, to be honest, from the conversations I have with people in Downing Street, they don't feel hugely supported at the moment. People on the junior side are worried that they are going to be thrown under the bus, and people on the senior side are a bit more cagey about talking about it. But nonetheless, there is a general sense of frustration within that building, a general sense that people do feel they are not being adequately supported. And there was a real sense of nerves a few months ago as well from the junior staff that they were going to be the ones to carry the buck for Boris Johnson, when a lot of them were saying, look, my boss invited me to this party. Of course I was going to go.
Yeah, and 20 partygate fines, but that doesn't mean 20 people, does it?
Doesn't necessarily mean 20 people. People could be being issued with multiple fixed penalty notices. We know that 100 questionnaires went out. So there are 100 people who are being considered by the Metropolitan Police. So in theory, there are around 80 at very least more to come.
Okay, Boris Johnson, we know that he's not in this batch. And we know that we will find out if he's going to be issued with a fine. That is one name we will know. How's it now looking for the Prime Minister? He's done a good job. His approval ratings will have gone up somewhat because of the way he's dealt with the Ukraine crisis. Do we know how long we might have to wait until we find out about the Prime Minister and a fine, potentially?
It could be a very, very long time. So the questionnaires went out a few months ago, 100 of them. And then it was only a couple of weeks ago that the Metropolitan Police said that they would start interviewing people. So what we've seen here, and the reason these have gone through so quickly, is because they are not very contested. Boris Johnson, meanwhile, he is contesting, and he is contesting with a very expensive lawyer, if rumours are to be believed. So it will be a lot trickier for the police to get to the bottom of his case than it was for any of these. What I think Boris Johnson has ahead of him really depends on a few factors. What happens next in Ukraine? It's hard to say if and when that situation will be resolved. Then obviously you've got the local elections at the start of May. And then as well, you've got the question of when this Met investigation comes back. The order in which those arrived, I think, will be crucial to Boris Johnson's future. Having said that, I was speaking to a lot of Conservative MPs yesterday, and they all agree the heat and light has rather gone out of the situation. Even ones who are pretty keen for him to go. They've sort of lost their fighting spirit a bit on that front.
If we are to see these fines issued in kind of not dribs and drabs, but in smaller quantities, this could be more annoying for Boris Johnson because we could be talking again the next time another 20 fines are issued. In a way, he'd almost want the whole lot dealt with in one fell swoop. But this means that we are going to hear this story again. And if a second set of fines come within the next few weeks, we're going to be, talking about it potentially on a weekly basis, which certainly Boris Johnson and his top team won't be particularly pleased about.
That is one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is that we all get bored of it. One MP was saying to me yesterday, actually, already the conviction has taken place in his mind and in the minds of his constituents. They all feel that Boris Johnson has done this. It doesn't really matter. what happens with the fixed penalty notice. If Johnson gets one, they'll go, yeah, well, we all knew that months ago, and move on with the story. So he was saying, again, that he feels that people have now moved on from this. I don't know which way it's going to go. We'll have to wait and see whether that is correct, that the drip, drip, drip will be more damaging, or if by the time it gets to Boris Johnson, everyone will think, right, we've heard this story before.
Interesting stuff. Thanks so much for joining us, our political correspondent, Charlotte Ivers. Thanks so much, Charlotte.